And we are live. What's going on? Happy Saturday to you guys. I'm excited to spend some time with you guys this Saturday. I know we missed last week, and for those of you that sent in your condolences, I appreciate it. My grandma did pass away up in Michigan like 4 months ago, and because of COVID, we couldn't do anything for like memorial service or any of that stuff, and so we ended up going up this past week. Finally, things are opening up a little bit more up there. They've been obviously much more open in Florida this whole time, but we're able to go up there and properly send her off. So for those of you that sent me the notes, I still appreciate that. And thanks for coming back, hanging out with us this weekend. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of some nerdy stuff, some theme park stuff, Orlando stuff. I do have a guest for you guys today. My favorite lender is joining us again, Greg. He's been on lives in the past, just a super good guy. He's like really in the weeds on this stuff, just really understands the ins and outs of the mortgage process and really what's going on right now, especially with first-time home buyers, people, in the lower third of price points. It's extremely hard for them to get into anything. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a whole bunch of stuff about Orlando. So first things first, as we always start off, where are you guys from? Where are you watching from today? I love to see kind of like who's interacting with us, where you guys are from in the world, so we can kind of speak more specifically to where you're at. I know we've got people from LA that tune in, Portland, the UK, the Netherlands, just all over. What's going on, Ned Kelly, my man? He was here 2 minutes early, and I so appreciate that, man. I appreciate you always tuning in and giving some good tips. To my man Travis, who just saw me over in Starbucks, shout out. He caught me in my addiction over there, and we've talked a little bit about his moving plans and that kind of thing. So I just absolutely love spending time with you guys on a Saturday as we warm up. Dude, Josh, literally 1 week. Okay, so then when you get here and you guys get settled, you got to reach out. We'll go grab Foxtail or we'll grab Starbucks or something like that. I'd love to finally meet you in person after hearing all about your new construction process and that kind of thing. What's up, Riley? I saw Riley here. She's one of the newest agents on our team, Riley Potter. I wish if I was named, my last name was Potter, I would hope my parents would have named me Harry. I don't know. It came out before Harry and Harry Potter, but hope I would have got lucky that way, right? So Riley, you've got an opportunity here when you have kids. Harry Potter. Heinrich is from Brazil. You're an architect. Hope you can live in Orlando soon, man. We would love to help you. Liz from Nashville. Josh, you're closing on the 28th. That's my birthday, man. What's going on? That's a good day. I will always remember the date that you closed on your house. That's awesome. What's up, Tim? Good to see you, man. Dude, we got to get you a house very soon here. Paul, what's going on from Windermere? I appreciate you tuning in. All right, so let's get in. Hey, Paige. For those who don't know, Paige is our director of operations. She helps everything behind the scenes that needs to get done. Paige makes sure that it's handled. So that way we have an amazing client experience. That's Paige's job. It's a pretty big job, and she does an amazing one. So very cool. Carol, hi, how are you? From Richmond, Ontario. Gosh, I hope Canada opens up soon. We've got it's insane here in Orlando. We've got so many visitors from all over, and yet there's no international yet. And that's crazy to think. I was walking a friend around Disney Springs the other day, and he's like, is it always this packed? I'm like, yeah, just wait until international opens up more, and this place is going to be 30% even more busy. Crazy times. Rapunzel's Workshop. Hey, from Cleveland. What's going on? Steve from NYC. All right, let's get into it. So as always, make sure you feel free to drop in your questions as we go along. I'm always happy at the end or even throughout. I'll grab some of your questions as we're talking through some of this different things. We want to make sure that really that's what it's all about. These videos, they're not for me, they're for you guys. The amount of people that come up to me in the street and say like, hey, I've been binge watching your videos. It convinced me to move to Orlando, and I finally learned something about Orlando that wasn't just Disney. That's what these videos are for. Life in Orlando, what else is there? Although I'm a huge Disney fan, and we'll definitely talk about that. But with no further ado, let's bring on Greg. What's going on, man?
What's up? What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, dude. Good to see you again. Yeah. We had a closing yesterday.
We did. I got to give a shout out to Paige as well. Paige, you're awesome. If you're still on, love you, Paige.
Paige is the glue. She makes it all. She makes it all happen. It's like it's a team effort over at the Posit Group, and I think we're building something pretty cool. What do you think?
Definitely, man. Awesome stuff. Paige is at the center of it for sure. She's great. So.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about FHA and VA deals. So they're getting harder to get done because this market is insane, right? There's just,
Right.
if you go in and you're in multiple offers, sellers are typically looking for the buyer that can like waive inspection, or not waive appraisal or some sort of it, right? And if you're FHA buyer, and what's the loan limit on FHA right now?
Loan limit is 356. So, I mean, with the prices going up, I have a lot of people that are even first-time home buyers are like, we can't get in the market at 350. Like, we got to go 400, 425, but you can't go over a 356 loan limit.
As a loan limit. So they could go 365. So you had the different
down payment. Yeah, 375 is about with a 3.5% down where you'd want to be as kind of like an absolute max for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, so in those price points, obviously, like you mentioned, it's hard. I had somebody just this morning reach out and they're like, hey, our budget's 395. We want, single family in one of the popular, new construction areas. I'm like, it doesn't exist anymore, really.
Right.
You have to go kind of like one of the sub markets or just right outside, kind of start pushing out. Have you been down to St. Cloud much lately?
I haven't been to St. Cloud much, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
Dude, there is like so much new construction going on down there right now. And it's like, before I felt like, oh gosh, St. Cloud seems really far, but now it's like just outside of Lake Nona. Like you have to drive an extra 10 or 15 minutes, but you can save like $100,000 in comparison to like right in Lake Nona. I think that area is going to continue to like blow up because like there's still so much rural land that can be redeveloped.
Right.
And that's the big cost. I mean, I was talking to a builder this morning and we were talking about like the average cost of regulation and tariffs, and then also supply costs on new construction. And he said year over year, it's gone up something like $68,000 per house.
Wow.
That's a huge number. And so it's not just
obviously gets passed along to the purchaser.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, these the politicians talk about, they want to add on all of these regulations and regulatory things, which some of it is needed. I think other of it's kind of like maybe not, but, the builder's like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to like make less money. I'm just going to pass it off to the buyer. And then we're in the market right now that they can eat that stuff up. No problem. Exactly. But they're seeing like window issues on the supply chain. Lumber is actually getting apparently a little bit easier. But they're telling me that like trusses, windows, appliances are still a huge issue. I don't know. What are you seeing like in terms of like, are you seeing any delays in new construction costs and that kind of thing? Or not costs, but in closings?
I'm hearing a lot of the same, Ken. With new construction in general, we just haven't done as many because buyers are not able to get it under contract. I mean, you probably have seen this a lot more than me, but I mean, a lot of these communities that we're selling 20, 30, 40 lots a month are selling 3, 4, 5, so there's just overall less. But yeah, as I've had some people like Davenport, like you said, St. Cloud, some of the places that you're a little bit farther out, there's definitely some more opportunity. But as far as the closing times, I haven't seen as much on the delays. We've probably done two new constructions in the last 2-3 months, and it went pretty smooth. We had a custom one up in Ocala, so that went pretty smooth with a custom builder. But yeah, I mean, definitely the cost is what's so crazy is how much it's increased. There was one that I had a client that was looking at a property that they ended up getting that the buyer pulled out after like 3 months of construction. And they were like, we'll give it to you at the price that we sold it to them. But just so you know, we could have increased this price by 25 grand.
No way. Just in 3 months.
3 months. Like they're like the demand and what it's going for now is $25,000 higher. And it was probably like a 350, 400 price point. Like not like $1 million price point where it went up, Sure. It's like a standard first time home buyer. It's pretty crazy.
It is, man. It is. Jim's tuning in from Animal Kingdom. What's going on, man? You got my nice. Heart right there. He's in Disney watching us there. So I'm like, it's like I'm there. It's going back to what you were just talking about, the first time home buyer. I just had somebody reach out to me via Instagram and he was like, hey, we're building, he's like, I don't know if they're using an agent or not, but we're building like 4 units down from you in Lake Nona. Cause I don't know if I told you, but I'm building a townhome in Lake Nona.
I didn't hear that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we got it for like roughly 350 and now they're selling them for like 400 4 months later.
Right. So I saw like, you. Yeah. Talking about it and stuff. Yeah. Crazy.
So he locked in a month before us in the 330s. So like it had gone up 15,000 since he purchased like 4 units down. And he said, hey, the builder called me and they want $70,000. They said they need to raise my price 70 grand. I'm like, they agreed to, yeah. They agreed to like sell you at 335 and now they said they want 400. And if you don't want to, that's okay. We'll give you your deposit back. And I'm like, what the heck? What's up, Joseph? Good to see you. Appreciate you catching us live, man. I appreciate that. But like, yeah, I said, listen, man, you need to call an attorney. I'm not your agent, unfortunately, but I'd be taking him to task. And there are some different blurbs in there that say that if costs overrun more than like 4%, that they can come back and renegotiate.
Wow.
So these new construction costs are interesting. I think a lot of buyers they just sign off really quick, right, without reading kind of what's actually in there. And even there's so many new agents that don't know to slow down and really be able to teach their clients, right? I'm sure you see that all the time.
All the time. I mean, those new construction contracts are like 100 pages sometimes. There's a lot of protection in there for the builder, obviously, because they're putting a lot on the line there. So that's crazy, man.
Yep, they're looking out for number one, that's for sure.
Right.
So let me ask you this, man. So so back to the FHA conversation. So how do we help more FHA and VA buyers win?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one for sure, man. I mean, I will say, like, we just had a closing yesterday where it was VA, and I think specifically for a VA buyer, they get that awesome benefit of putting $0 down and having no PMI insurance. So what's the point of putting 10, 20% down if you don't have PMI insurance? You're always going to take advantage of that 0% VA. Well, in this kind of market, if you're a VA buyer that does have the ability to put, even if it's 2, 3, 4% down, you're able to offer that above appraised value. So in that specific case, our buyer came out of pocket, like, I think under 5 figures, but they were still able to pay above appraised value and put that in the contract, which made their deal sweeter and just as good or even better than, say, a conventional offer, right?
Yep.
That's huge, VA.
That's huge. I think, and not enough listing agents know that, because there are, Greg, you've seen it, man. You've been in the business quite some time here in Orlando. Since I became an agent in Orlando like 5 years ago. Yeah. And for those of you just watching me for the first time, I've been an agent. I've been in the business for 17 years. But when I moved here, started over 5 years ago, there were like 13,000 realtors in Orlando. Now there's 19,000, like that. And so you've got 50% of the realtors out there that have less than 10 transactions under their belt, right? So as a listing agent, if they're lucky enough to get a listing in this market, and they see somebody going conventional 20% down, and they go VA 100% financing, they're just going to they're going to default to the one going 20% down because it seems like a safer deal. Right. But that's not always the case, right? Like you see loans all the time. So you could speak to that. So VA versus conventional, is one stronger than the other?
And honestly, it's really not, Ken. And you can even lump FHA in there. It depends on the client specifically. Like, I have some clients that are exceptional credit, on the job 10 years, but we're going FHA. Why? Because their debt to income ratio is a little tight. Mm-hmm. They had student loans, which we'll get to that. I want to spin back to that. I definitely forget that on the student loans. But that's a specific tool that we use in order to qualify them for a little bit more, because their debt to income ratio. With the difference in conventional and VA is always going to take advantage of 100% down. But that client, like our clients the other day, they had the ability to go above appraised value. You might have someone conventional that's putting 20% down, but 19% of that 20% stuck in equity of another property that you don't know that they have to sell yet.
That's true.
Stuff like that we're seeing, man, where, it's really about making sure, as a listing agent, you need to be calling on your lenders and asking when you're seeing these offers. And really, truly, it falls on the lenders to protect their buyer and their buyer's agent, like we do, to reach out to a listing agent, if they have calls, or, have listing agents that call me all the time where I don't even know the offer's gone out yet, and they're already picking up the phone and calling. It's like, I got to be available to walk them through, exactly what's going on in the certain scenario. So making sure there's open line of communication on that is big, because if you're literally, like you said, just looking at VA 0%, conventional 20%, most listing agents that are inexperienced are just going to go with that 20% conventional thing. And it's the, easy, sweet deal. So
for sure, man. Yeah. I mean, communication is key, right? So for me as a buyer's agent, reaching out to that listing agent, I can't tell you how many times that I'm a listing agent and my sellers, a buyer's agent will just send me an offer and never call me. They'll send me an offer in the email. Like, it's almost like afraid to call me, or like afraid to text me. It just like shows up in my email box, no cover page, no, it's just kind of shoddy. And like, it sounds like I'm beating up my fellow agents. I'm not. There's some amazing agents out there. Like, there really are. But there's a lot of newbies that don't know. And so for me, like, over communicating with the listing agent, like, hey, listen, my buyer's FHA, but here's why they're doing it. And they can still maybe waive some portion of appraisal. And even if they can't, maybe there's other things that we can do to sweeten the deal, like give maybe free rent back to the seller right? We could do a 30 or up to 60-day rent back for the seller free of charge, right? That could be $5,000, $6,000 worth of value to the seller. As a VA, like you mentioned, like hey, listen, we could still potentially overpay on appraisal, but just because they're going 100% financing. So anyways, I don't want to beat that up too much, but there's definitely good opportunity there.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, 20% conventional still awesome. We like
no, 20%'s great. Like that's obviously that's the bread and butter. Like that's great, right? But it's just
FHA and VA are getting bad raps right now, man. I have a lot of buyers out there that are great credit qualified buyers that's the right program for them, and they're getting overlooked. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into some of these questions. First off, Johnny Manning. So I know a Manning family from Michigan. Are you guys the same Manning family that I know from Michigan? Let me know. I want to make sure. Let's see. Let's dive in here. Some other people questions. Laura from England. What's going on? Got people from Austin. This is cool, man. So many people chiming in today.
Yeah, that's great. Love it.
All right. So Joseph asks a question. With interest rates seeming like they're changing, interest rates seems like they aren't changing for the next year or so. This is a good question for you, Greg. When do you think the market will start to settle? It can't go up forever. Why don't you talk about interest rates and I'll talk about the market?
Yeah, for sure. So with interest rates, you're definitely right, Joseph. It doesn't seem like they're changing much. They've been in a pretty stable, consistent range, high twos, low threes, bouncing around a little bit. But the one thing I'll say with interest rates that everyone's kind of fearful of, overall economy, stock market, all that is the fear of inflation. And so this last week, Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, came out and said that they do expect inflation to be a little bit higher than they initially expected, which we were all saying that, right? I think they were just trying to keep it hush hush. We all know that the federal government's been spending a lot of money, quote unquote, printing it. So fear of inflation is something that could potentially hike up interest rates. If you're talking about a lender that's going to give you a 30-year fixed interest rate at 3%, they want to make sure at a minimum they're going to keep up with inflation, right? So they don't want to lend to you at 3% if inflation is going to be 3.5% and they're losing money on the value of money, potentially over the next 10, 20, 30 years. So that could be the only thing that really would drive interest rates up. Other than that, the market that we're in, I do think interest rates, seem like they're going to stay pretty stable for the next year or so. And, that effect on the market, definitely leave that up to you, Ken.
Yeah, as long as interest rates stay where they're at, I think that the market's going to continue to rise. Here's some crazy insight, man, that I found out. Thanks for the question also, Joseph. So I think here's some crazy stuff. So you've heard of like Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow Offers and all of these kind of things, right? So they come into a seller's house and they give you, sometimes they give you market value, but then they still charge you a commission. It's usually somewhere around 5%. Then they'll also charge you a repair fee. So they'll say, hey, no inspections, but we need $9,000 towards what we might find, right?
So you said 5%. I've heard as high as 9%. I guess that's with the repair fee in.
That's right? With the repair fee, and then they also charge like a convenience fee, right? So on average, it's somewhere between like, I've heard it as low as 6 to 7 and as high as 10 or 11, right? But the convenience is like you hand over your keys, you pick your closing, you don't have showings, right? My team and I, we've actually modeled this out several times, and we can typically get the seller a lot more money, but it's the convenience fee. Why do I say that? So interestingly enough, I found out the other day that OfferPad and Open Door are now taking the properties they're buying, selling them off to like Blackwater or Blackstone, right? Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of these places, and they're just turning them into rentals. So why is that terrible for the market? Well, that means that we don't have inventory. Like they're eating up our inventory. They're turning whole neighborhoods into rental communities. I heard that OfferPad or Open Door, one of the two, they're going to like Lennar and DR Horton and saying, hey, that 400 home community that you have coming up, we'll buy the whole thing.
Yeah, I've heard
turned into a rental.
Well, okay, so Open Door does that, and then they sell it off to Blackstone. I've heard Blackstone's doing that. I have a buddy that's really big into economics, and he shared an article with me on that. What's so crazy about that, Ken, is like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are trying to combat that so hard with just general. I mean, when you have something that's quote unquote too big to fail, like a Blackstone that just comes in and can stroke checks, it's kind of hard. But with individuals with second homes and investment properties, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conventional loans, they've jacked up interest rates. So your primary interest rates are high 2s, low 3s, but your second home investment properties are high 3s, maybe even 4% now, because they want to price those people out of the market. They want to disincentivize you from buying a second home because they want people to be able to buy primaries. And it's just crazy. And that's because of the inventory shortage. That's what led to something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not huge into government intervention. To me, I think you let the market play out, but at the same time, like I almost feel like maybe the government should do something about it. Like, hey, you can't go in and completely buy up a neighborhood and let nobody, I mean, you got all these buyers that want to create home. And I think that, I mean, the importance for buying a home, okay, I'm a real estate agent, right? It might sound like selfish that I want people to buy homes, but I think that you look at the average net income or the average net worth of a homeowner versus a renter, and it's like something like 7 times more
it's insane.
of a homeowner than a renter, right? So that's one. Two, it creates community. When you own a house, you own something, you put a little bit more into it. That's just a fact. And so, and then there's been more wealth created in real estate than any other industry. And so when you have these big companies taking that away, because I mean, I'm sure you're seeing it. You pre-approve a buyer, and they're like, "Hey, I'm ready to buy this, $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 house." Then they can't find one. They're like, "Oh, forget it. I'm just going to rent."
They get discouraged, man. They get really discouraged. We've had definitely a few. I mean, I haven't seen this crazy of a market. I've been in the business about 5 years, like similar to you, and here in Orlando. And yeah, just the last 6 months, I've never seen people, especially like I've seen first-time home buyers like need down payment assistance, whatever, like get discouraged. They've been lifetime renters. I've never seen people that like have already owned homes and sold homes and, are in the 500, 600,000 price point. I've never seen them get this kind of discouraged by it. So yeah, maybe the government does need to intervene. That is crazy how they're buying up neighborhoods from new builds and just renting them. I have heard that, man. Nuts.
Yep. It's absolutely wild. So John has a good question or good point. So it sounds like the best approach, if we're going to have VA ready, then have the VA loan ready and then the cash to sweeten the pot. That's it. Yeah. So making sure that your agent, that's me or somebody on my team or whomever, make sure that they're really clear with the listing agent on like why you're going VA. Hey, it's not because we don't have the money. It's because A, the interest rate's actually super competitive, and B, why not keep the money in our pocket with the interest rates as low as they are?
Yeah,
but if there's an issue with
it, better. I mean, I would say on average, Ken, you're going to have a lower payment with 0% down VA than 10, 15% down conventional. 20% conventional, you're not going to have the PMI. You're going to have a lower balance. But like, okay, do you want 60, 70 grand out of your pocket and a higher payment, or do you want 60, 70 grand in your pocket and a lower payment? I mean, it's just, yeah, but being able to make sure that, like John said there, make sure you're communicating that, that you're sweetening the pot with the cash on top is awesome.
Yep, for sure. Helen has a great question. Helen is a longtime watcher, so thanks so much for tuning in again. Helen, she said, any thoughts on going for a 7-year ARM instead of the 30-year fixed? We have done 7-year ARMs in the last 15 years, and it's worked out for us. But what do you think about moving forward? What do you think about that? Oh, you muted yourself.
You got me here?
I think you switched over.
You got me?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, something browser. I was going to say, yeah, I love 7-1 ARMs, 5-1 ARMs, 10-1 ARMs. So basically what that means is either the first 5, 7, or 10 years is fixed. So this 7-1 ARM, first 7 years of that loan, that rate that Helen gets is going to be fixed. And it's usually going to be a lower rate than, say, a 30-year fix, especially on jumbo products in a higher price point than the conventional loans. And so most people buy or sell real estate every 5 to 7 years. So in the next 5 years, you guarantee that lower rate. If you sell that property, then you got that lower rate for the 5 years and you saved money. And if you get to year 6, you can decide, hey, is that rate going to adjust up on me? Does it look like, or is it going to, adjust down? If it's a long-term play for you at that time, you refinance to a 30-year fixed or a 15-year fixed at that point. But yeah, I see a huge value add, a huge benefit in going with a shorter term, and especially in those adjustable rate ones. But you have to be someone that's very much paying attention to the market and have a good plan of, how long you plan to stay in the property, or if you're going to refinance down the road. So
yeah, that's good advice. Make sure you stay on top of it. You don't just set it and forget it, and then all of a sudden you get a letter in the bank and you're, hey, it's going to adjust. Like, you should be on top of what's going on in the market.
Right.
Yep. Jay asks, can you refinance an investment property?
Absolutely, Jay, you can. Like I said before, investment properties are definitely not something that they're trying to deliver to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, so they've priced them a little bit higher. I have some clients that I've talked to that they're like, hey, I want to investment, refi my investment property. And when we run the numbers, it honestly just doesn't make a ton of sense right now if it's, say, a rate and term. But if you want to get cash out, we can go up to 75% against the value of your property. So I have some investors that I work with that buy fix and flip homes. They, put the work in there. Now they own it outright. So it's worth $300,000. They want to take out 75% against it. We get them $225,000, and there you go on about your day and can do that. So yes, absolutely. You can refinance investment property. It just depends on what you're looking to do with it and whether it makes sense.
Yeah. We call that the Burr method, right? So it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat.
Yeah.
So definitely can do that, and good opportunity there. We got a bunch of other questions here. I want to make sure we get in some good ones today. Thank you so much, guys, again for jumping in here. This is cool. So, I think Mario says,
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, I think I said Jay right after that said, what is the minimum credit score to refinance investment property? It's gonna be 680, Jay. That's what you're gonna want.
That's actually not bad. 680s. No. Yeah. Good times.
Cool.
All right. So let's see. Yeah, it's interesting. So NYCAS says, today the buyer needs a lot of cash to buy something. It's best to wait if you can. Don't rush. Florida's going to be there waiting for you. Yeah, it will. I think Florida's going to be where you're waiting, but some of the more popular areas, and there's always going to be the new popular area, right? I remember Metro West was the new hotness, and then it was Windermere, and Windermere's still obviously super hot, but then, it continues to move on, right? The new hot area. But honestly, so much like the 7-1 ARM question, or should you buy or wait? I'm telling people, listen, I mean, if you're thinking you're going to stay in the house long-term, and long-term is like 4 to 5 years plus, you should buy now. You should do whatever you can to lock in now, because interest rates are what they are. You will be paying off your house over that time. You're going to be in a better position than if you were going to rent and throw that money away. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, that's the big thing. You got to live somewhere. There's a podcast I was listening to with a mortgage broker that was talking about the crash in 2008, 2009. And he was talking to his dad. He bought at the peak of it, like 05, 06. And he was talking to his dad. He's like, Dad, I don't know what to do. Like, he owed more than what the house was worth and whatever. And then he's like, son, he's like, what's your mortgage payment? He's like, $3,500. He's like, okay, you got to live somewhere, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, so if you short sell the house and leave, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to rent. And he's like, well, how much is rent going to be? He's like, $3,500. He's like, there you go. Just rent from yourself, bud. Like, just pay your mortgage. Like that's the thing, is like, as long as you're comfortable with the monthly payment, majority of people, other than some people that, live on the road and Airbnb and travel and stuff, most people have a home base. And especially people working from home now, you got to live somewhere. And rather than spending, 3,500 times 12, what is that? Like $42,000 a year that you're spending on rent, like going towards somebody else's mortgage. I mean, when people worry about, values and this and that, I mean, the difference in a 375 purchase that, you could have got 18 months ago, and now the house is 415 or whatever, the monthly payment might be a difference in 80 or $100 a month. Is that really that much of a disincentive to rather go spend $2,000 on rent and not get any equity, right? So when you really look at the numbers, logistically like that, I mean, there's never a bad time to buy. I don't even think, I think everyone gets so worried about values going down. But even if value goes down, like I was saying, you still got to live somewhere. People.
And it's a write-off, right? And it's a write-off. And then worst case scenario, say if you need to go relocate for work, then great, you have somebody else still paying off that loan, right? You can sit there and have them pay it off. That becomes your investment portfolio. And on. Let's get into a couple stories, and then we'll get back into questions. So I got this one for us. Let's see. There we go. So, historic Spanish Revival mansion becomes the priciest home listing in Winter Park. Have you seen this house? Oh, are you muted there? Have you seen this house? You're muted again.
Something keeps popping up with the browser.
There you go.
No, I have not seen this house, dude. Holy shit.
So this one's on Genius Drive over there, right off of it's double lakefront and front and the back over there. This one's 9,000 square feet. They listed it on June 10th for $18.5 million. So it'll be, And here's the other crazy thing. There was another one. This one, I posted on this one on my Instagram. This is a really cool house. This one got listed for $12.5 million. And the reason why this house is really cool is because this actually used to be part of Rollins College. This house used to be, They used to have this as first it was a gentleman's club, not a strip club, but like a social club. And
like a university club or something.
Yeah. And then they sold it off to Rollins, and then Rollins used it for a bunch of, look at that view. I mean, from the front and the back, it's just ridiculous, right? So these guys, 96-year-old Mediterranean mansion nestled on Lake Virginia and Lake Mizzle. And it was the most expensive house ever to be listed in Winter Park. And then just literally 10 days later, they're like, boom.
Watch this.
Watch this. And so they're like, if they can get 12 million, we're going to get 18. So we'll see. I mean, it's interesting.
Beautiful right there, though, man. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I love look at the photos. I think our guy Unique did this. It's an interesting house, man.
Wow. Love it.
I think it's the view. Obviously, it's going to get it more than anything. But
oh, for sure.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Awesome.
Couple other things.
I was going to say, someone's talking about hot spots. What do you think is a hot spot right now? I mean, Winter Park's been established as well for a while, but we were talking St. Cloud earlier, right? And Lake Nona.
Yeah, I think Lake Nona still, pricing on Lake Nona. Here's another anecdotal story about Lake Nona. So I had a seller of mine. She called me in January and she's like, hey, what do you think I can list my house for? And I'm like, hey, she bought the house 3.5 years ago for $375.
Okay.
Or for $375. I'm like, listen, like comps are like $425. So nothing crazy. Had a $50,000 appreciation over 3 years. And then I'm like, hey, $425 I think is about where you need to be. So she held off and then called me last week. Hey, I'm finally ready to go. I need to move. Let's get going now. And so we're putting on the market for $460.
Wow.
It was like 3 years of like decent appreciation, 4%.
That's still really good. It's just
it's still 50,000
market. People are expecting
crazy numbers. Yeah. So it went from like, this like slow but steady appreciation to like boom, so it's just it's crazy. So in terms of like the areas, I think it depends on what people are looking for. Like if you're looking for that like great starter home neighborhood, we just did a video about affordable areas to purchase. I still think like Davenport, Haines City, Apopka, Claremont, St. Cloud, those are probably the more popular like starter home prices. But if you're looking for like that mid-level like 5 to 750 or 5 to 800 area. I mean, Winter Garden's still super popular. Like Nona's super popular. I think those are the main ones. And then luxury, you're looking at Windermere and Winter Park. Those are two like the powerhouses in Central Florida.
Right.
Do you see anything different?
No, I'd agree 100% for sure. What do you think about a little bit north part of town, like Lake Mary, Sanford? What do you think about going up there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to do a video on Lake Mary actually in a couple of weeks. I think there's great opportunity. Maitland. It's funny. I did a video on Maitland, and I got a bunch of hate people talking like, who wants to move to Maitland? I'm like, there's a lot of people that want to move to Maitland, dude. Like, because Winter Park is so expensive, and you can be literally, you're the next city up, and like, there's all these older houses that you can gut and renovate that already have been gutted and renovated. And so if you don't want these like cookie cutter new construction, I think that's a cool opportunity for people and to be really close to town. So
agreed.
I don't know.
Cool, dude. Agreed.
Yeah. Yes. Jay says, is Shaq's house finally went under contract? Yes. 5th time's a charm. We shall see.
Wow.
So Capolavaro at Four Seasons Private Residences, the promo visit videos looks virtually identical to your walkthrough 3 years ago. What justifies the $10 million price hike? So for those of you who don't know, I think this is a good question, and why not? Because I love hanging out in Golden Oak, whether it's online or in person. So let's check it out. So for those of you that don't know, I'll share real quick. This is the Capolavaro. I did a video on this. One of my first videos on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Gorgeous house, like just unbelievable.
This is in Golden Oak at Disney?
This is in Golden Oak. Golden Oak, so that was one of the cities that I left out. I mean, Golden Oak's only it's a neighborhood, right? It's only 300 homes, 299. This is the most expensive house ever to be listed there, though. 16,385,000, 8,200 square feet. So here's the crazy thing. This is the story of the day, if you will, of like why people have been talking about this, not only the price point, but they bought it in 2018 for $6 million.
What?
And they put it on the market for $16 million.
What?
Now gorgeous house, like unbelievably beautiful home. Look at that, like the sweeping windows all the way up there.
That's unbelievable. Hey, Ken, so in 2018, was that new construction then? When they
new
bought
construction, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the Bacardi heiress's house or not. I forget. She bought back around here, but anyways, there was a big story about it. But look at this. Like, I love this like indoor outdoor space right here. Is so good. And then like all the screens come down and then it overlooks conservation. It's a baller house. I'm not going to say they're not going to get 16 million because it's a crazy market. But it's a big number. It's a big jump.
It's a big jump, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, good question, Laura. I forgot to bring that up, so thank you for even mentioning it. Let's see. All right. So Josh, so Greg, man, Josh here, holistic dad. He's moving from, I think it's New Jersey or New York, one of the two. He's moving like to walk like right down the street from me. And so
Nice.
we've been talking back and forth. And so I'm excited. But he said, do you think the value of the homes in Horizon West communities will stay stable or drop now that the hypeness of the area is wearing off and moving to different neighborhoods? I don't think so. And here's why. The proximity of our area being right next to Disney, with like new schools coming up left and right and more like infrastructure. You've got a lot more commercial coming here, a lot more cool stuff. You're never going to lose proximity. Like, why is Windermere amazing and Windermere? Well, because there's all of the lakes and all the other kind of things that you don't have really anywhere else. And then the proximity, right? So all of those things are going to keep it being what it is. Winter Park is never going to like die out, right? Like, it's been there for 100 years. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think
they're going to be okay.
They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. I think Winter Garden is going to be similar in this, and that it's just going to continue to get better and better just because of the proximity to the parks, good schools, locate, like all that stuff. I think that you're going to do well there, man. All right. What else we got here? What other questions do you see pop through? Oh, here we go. Here's a good question. NYC Irons, would it be better to have a mortgage or pay all cash for the home? I've got my answer. I want to hear yours.
Yeah, no, so it's really tough. I would say each scenario is different. I mean, what else are you going to do with that cash? So if you're in the $400,000 price point and you got $500,000 that you want to do something with, like if you're a business owner, maybe you reinvest in your business, you take out a mortgage. If you're retired, buy the house cash. You don't have a mortgage payment. I mean, there's a multitude of different reasons why getting a mortgage or paying cash would make sense. But if you want to talk strictly from like a competition standpoint and like, hey, I want to win this deal no matter what, obviously I think 10 times out of 10 cash is going to be king to a mortgage. The great news is that if you really want a mortgage but you have the cash, if you refinance within the first 6 months, it's really called delayed financing, and it's a lot smoother process than a full refinance. It's really just like a delayed purchase where you can buy the house cash and we do the purchase after, and you get a really nice low interest rate as if you're purchasing the home. So yep. We have that option.
Well said. I think, I think for me, my mentor told me that you buy as big of a house financially that you can comfortably afford. Even, so I think that in our market, if you can put, say you said $400,000 down, instead of just looking for a $400,000 house, maybe go get a $600,000 house, finance the 200. Right. But then at the end of the day, like it's so personal, right? Like if you're like, say you're trying to retire, like you probably don't want a mortgage, right? You want to live a little bit more carefree. And so maybe you move a little bit farther away to get more house for your money. But for me, I think in terms of being competitive, paying cash is going to be king. And then, like you said, you could always refinance down the road.
Yeah. But the thing is you cannot borrow money cheaper than mortgages. Like not even student loans. You can't. Yeah. Like my student loans are at 5.5%. My mortgage is at 2.6, right? Like you can't borrow money cheaper than that. So if you're going to buy a house cash to go take out a loan for a car, or to take out a loan to start your business, that really doesn't make as much sense. That's where utilizing a mortgage against a primary residence is most advantageous. But in this crazy market, if you have the cash, you might want to pick it up first and then do the delayed financing after. So,
yeah, I mean, that's another good point is like, what else would you do with the money, right? So like, could you get a super low interest rate and then go invest it in a business? Could you go buy another maybe piece of investment property? Could you go, pay off other higher, like tax it, like pay off your car, pay off your credit cards, whatever, student loans. There's probably other places that you can deploy that money and get more money on your money than it would be just paying cash for a house right now. So we had a bunch of good questions here. Hold on a second. I want to go back up. Josh is from New York. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to offend you, Jersey Shore or anything like that. All right, let's see. Helen had a good question. So I just saw a YouTube video that Dream Finders is now building in Bella Collina. Any insight into Bella Collina? Yeah. So I did a video on Bella Collina. If you guys are curious of the lifestyle, it's a little bit farther out. So you've got like, I love this. Check this out, bro. I'm going to hide you for a minute. I apologize. Yeah, he'll be back. Oh, there he is. All right. So we've got... Here we go. Bella Collina. So Bella Collina, you've got, so it's 35 minutes from say like Disney World. You're like 35, 40 minutes away from the airport downtown. Can you see that okay?
It's a little small, but yeah.
So small. Here, let's see if we can kind of. There we go.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot better.
This is it up. This is it up here. And so the cool thing is you could jump on 91, take it over to 50. This is kind of the background. You could take the toll roads down 429 over to the airport if you need to. It's just a little bit farther away for most people, but what's funny is like that's what they said about Winter Garden for so long. Like it's so far away, and then like this is where to be. So yeah. I think Bella Collina can be a really great purchase for you. So yes, they used to be really $1 million plus houses, but there were a few smaller golf front homes, like they're more zero lot line. And so the cool thing about Bella Collina is you've got some pockets of the neighborhood that have like 2, 3, 4 acre lots, which are really hard to find, especially in a gated neighborhood in proximity to everything. And then now you've got Dreamfinders and then Toll Brothers and some other like smaller builders building up on some of these zero lot line properties closer to the clubhouse. And so I think it's a cool opportunity, if you're schools could be something you maybe want to look into when you're out there. Is that politically correct? Am I allowed to say that? Yeah. The way that I just said it? Okay, cool. But yeah, you're only 15 minutes from downtown Winter Garden. You're 10 minutes from downtown Claremont. So there's a lot of cool stuff up there. So I think for Bella Collina, again, if you're looking for a golf neighborhood, gated, it does have like a social membership that you have to join into for the club. But it's a really cool, very unique deal if you're cool with the drive. So yeah, let's see. You're looking at the questions. What else you got in there? What did you like that you saw?
I was going to say, I wanted to touch on Johnny Manning saying George Gammon said recently in an inflationary environment like this, your real asset is a 30-year fix. It will pay you back with weaker dollars. That is very true. So I think Johnny's talking to what I said with the 7-1 arm is that he's saying you can lock it in for 30 years at this lower rate in an inflationary period. This is great to do because you're paying it back with weaker money. I mean, that's kind of the reason why the government likes to spend a lot of money and then create inflation so they can pay all these foreign governments and businesses off that they borrowed money from with weaker dollars. And that's super true. So yeah, I would agree, Johnny, with George, that is a huge advantage of locking in a 30-year fixed if you do really plan to be there for quite some time, because we are in an inflationary period. I just meant for someone that is guaranteed to have, say, multiple properties or a lot of assets in a jumbo price point where they can lock in a lower rate for 5 or 7 years, and they're probably going to sell again or flip that property or do something else. Then they're saving probably, say they have $1 million loan, they're saving hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars over those 5 to 7 year period. But for a standard buyer in a conventional FHA VA, 30-year fixed all day long, I agree with for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It's good.
Even with interest rates, what do you think? Wow, not sorry, interest rates. What about investment properties? Do you think they should still go 30-year, or like the old school, the guys, the investors that I talk to are like 15, paid off as quick as possible. But in this market, what do you think, 15 or 30?
I like 30, man. I like 30 just because there is a little bit of a benefit of getting a lower rate with 15, but it's not a huge amount when the rate's already this low, and you can still pay it off in 15 years. You can make an additional $500 of principal each month, but say that 3 or 6 month gap where you lose a tenant that was great and you can't fill that and you want to just pay the minimum because you're not cash flowing at the same level you were, you can go back down to paying just that minimum for the 30-year, and go back to the 15-year after. So
Yep, I agree. I agree. I like the flexibility of the 30, right? I'd rather, especially if you cash flow, rents are going up like crazy too, man. Like, so, but as rents rise, you could always put more towards principal, pay it off quicker, right? Dude, this townhouse that I'm buying, I don't know. I wish I bought 2 or 3 of them when we bought, rents there were like $2,450, $2,400 3 months ago. And now I just saw 3 of my same townhome throughout the rest of the community lease out from $2,750 up to $2,850.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was more lucky.
It's like you want to go month to month with your tenant. Like you don't even want to lock them in for 12 months because in 3 months you can make more.
As a landlord, I used to want to lock in for 2, 3, 4 years. Now I'm like, you know what? Maybe we'll just 12 months is good.
Yeah.
Let's do the minimum for the neighborhood and see what happens. Now, I'm excited to get some long-term tenants in there and just sit on it for 10, 15 years. Pat App says, what advice do you give to somebody in the process of taking the 63-hour course? That's for real estate licensing here in Florida. So you have to take a 63-hour course up front. You get licensed after you pass the state test and you do the background check and all that. Then you've got I think it's 35 hours post-licensure that you have to do after that. So 100 hours and you're a real estate agent. Honestly, I wish it was harder. I wish
it's 20 hours for mortgage, bro. So
oh really?
And one test, no post. Yeah.
So I keep talking to like our board. I feel like it needs to be much, much harder. As like appraisers are really tough. I used to be an appraiser when I first got in the business, and then they changed.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's why I started off investing in real estate, and I was an appraiser. And they changed the laws in Michigan to where like you had to have a college degree plus twice as much experience, and like they put in like all of these things like just overnight. And that's the reason why there's not enough appraisers actually getting in. So you'll notice the average age of appraisers is getting older and older and older, because these guys are like, hey, well, they're throwing money at them. Like, please don't retire. Like, we need you. Yeah. But they need to do something with real estate agents, I think personally. But going back to Pat's question, how do you get started? What's the process of finding buyers and sellers? I would go follow Tom Ferry on YouTube. He's like the #1 real estate coach in the game. He's a good friend of mine. But at the end of the day, our business is really all about lead generation, but even more so, it's about people. And so like the more you can help people, the more opportunity that just kind of falls in your lap. I would also say make sure you hook up with a good brokerage, because just because you're licensed doesn't mean anything. If you're not getting coached and trained to do what to do, to know what to do, then you're just going to be a statistic, which is that, I think it's like only 9% of agents actually make it in our business. It's just constant turnover. Jay asked, am I still getting Walt Disney Imagineers from Cali looking into Lake Nona? We're getting a lot of people from Disney from all over the country relocating, and Lake Nona seems to be a spot. And so I'm excited. I do have a couple things to mention soon. I'm not allowed to talk about it completely, but some of the stuff that's coming to Lake Nona, that's why I'm going to buy a couple more investment properties there. Yeah. So good deal. What else we got? Eric said he watched Tom Ferry's listing presentation. Yeah, he's good stuff, man. Laura asked about Kagan Crossings in Four Corners. I think Four Corners is like another one of these that is maybe not a hidden gem, but it's just like the next progression in Davenport. I think that, people that, you look at Winter Gardens pushing out towards like Kissimmee and Davenport, and Kagan Crossing is going to be that natural progression. So I think that, getting in there now is a good opportunity. 27 is getting built up like crazy. So you got a lot of opportunity to like, enjoy life, shopping, and you're really not too far from the parks if this is a second home for you. So whereas it seemed like it was far away before, it's not that bad now. Let's see. Josh was highly offended. No shade, Jersey. All right. So what are the pros and cons of Claremont versus Winter Garden? Do you know both markets? And before, I don't want to just take the show, but do you know both markets fairly well? No, you're muted again. You're muted again.
You got me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay. I was saying, this is your show, man. So you run with it. I'm just here to hang out.
Man,
but but I did grow up in the northwest side of town. I grew up in Apopka, more like Apopka, Altamont-ish area. So I do know the west side a little bit, like Claremont and Winter Garden. Winter Garden is exploding. Like the last few years has just been insane. I think Claremont's starting to get there too. The market side of it a lot better than me, but I love like downtown Claremont's really cool. Downtown Winter Garden's really cool. Like they're really nice, family friendly communities. You can drive the golf carts to downtown Winter Garden. It's like, it's quiet. It's a nice community. People are cool. So I think they're both really, really great. I don't know, the cons you could probably speak more to on that front. I guess, they're away from if you want to get to downtown Orlando or the airport, things like that. But
yeah, I think really the only cons are just location, right? So I think, again, I'm not allowed to speak on schools, so definitely check out those. But really, if you're just talking about purely like lifestyle and it's just location, Claremont's just a little bit farther. But Claremont has more lakes, more boatable lakes. I think that it's got more hills. It's very beautiful, like topography in comparison. Like it's not the freaking Rockies out there.
And you have everything if you can work from home. Like I think that was the biggest thing, like with people working in downtown Orlando or near the airport or what have you. Attractions, like it was farther away, but now like if you're working from home, those areas have everything you need. They have the entertainment, they have the community, the different events, like everything you need's right there.
Yep. Yeah. Sure. So, and whereas Winter Gardens is a little bit closer to everything, right? And there's a little bit more built up, but you're talking about, I'm actually going to dive in this week, RJ. This is a really good like, segue into finding out if I was going to do apples to apples on a 3,000 square foot house in Winter Garden, like Horizon West, versus 34714 of Claremont, which is kind of like the more popular area. Which one's more expensive, right? What's the actual cost differentiation? Yeah, that would be a good, I'll share that in a couple weeks next live of like where we shake out. But I think Claremont's the next Winter Garden. I think it's going to be a good one. Jorge says, you live in Horizon West on Sidedale Road, proximity to Disney and Windermere and downtown Winter Garden. I still think Horizon West is still a hidden gem, man. But everybody, I agree. And there's a lot of people coming here. There's left and right, man. Romario says anything about Island Village pricing. Yeah. So they did their big release. They're not working with real estate agents on phase one, although I do get all of their pricing and all their models and everything like that. They want to work with their in-house lender or their in-house lender and their in-house agents, which sucks, to be quite honest with you. But I still want to help you guys. So pricing, it sounds like it's starting in the 500s for homes and kind of going up very quickly from there. Townhomes are starting in the high threes, and you're in that 450 range on a lot of these townhomes as well. So it is still much more cost advantageous to buy something in old Celebration. But if you want brand new, you want the new hotness, then Island Village is there for you. But I do know that they're selling out. They're releasing a few lots, selling them right away. Their townhomes, they were doing like spec homes only at first, to where they're already picked out for you, so you didn't really get to have any selections. So just something to think about there. Let's see. So what are some things that I did with kids when I got to Florida? Well, it was go buy my Disney pass and then eventually my Universal pass. But there's so much more to our area that we're trying to show off actually in our channel. Dude, I don't know if you saw my photo. So we did this kayak, like light. They put lights on the bottom of our kayak, and we did paddleboarding through the lakes of downtown Orlando. Have you seen this?
Was that Lake Eola?
No, it was Lake Ivanhoe, and then Lake Ivanhoe is like split by I-4, and then there's like some like secret lakes that you can like go under the docks and stuff. So we did that the other night, and so part of our channel, we're trying to go through and like show off more stuff to do other than Disney and Universal. Like we're huge theme park fans, but like what else is there to do? So Josh, man, dude, there's so much to do here. Like you'll just literally never get bored. There's always a new show, a new event, a new convention, there's just always something to do. It blows my mind. For
kids to touch on that, Ken, I was gonna say, I grew up right across from Wekiva Springs State Park up in the Apopka, Longwood area. Yep. It's awesome. Like the state park is beautiful. They got like the little swimming hole there. You can rent a canoe, a kayak. I mean, a great day to go out with kids and tire them up so they take a nap and, go to sleep early.
Yeah. So how far away is Wekiva Springs? Yes, for sure. How far away is what's the other springs, that the other big popular one up in Ocala?
Is that Ginny Springs?
Or
Blue Springs?
Anyways,
there's a few of them, but
the gal who owned the kayak thing that we did, she also does up in Ocala, and she was like, they do the glass bottom ones, and they also do bioluminescent tours up there. So like the nature side of Orlando, I'm just now getting into more and more, and it's just blowing me away how beautiful this area is.
Oh yeah, it's great.
All right, so there was a question. Man, I can't find it, but I know I saw it pop up through here. Someone was asking about using the on-site lender at a new construction. Did you see that one pop through? They were like,
I did not. New site lender.
Well, let's just talk about that real quick. So I know a lot of lenders, they would go ahead and talk about, hey, if you use our on-site lender, we'll give you a discount, or we'll give you X amount of things, right? You see that a lot, I'm sure.
All the time, man. Yeah. A ton of it.
And it used to be way, way, way more advantageous to use the on-site lender.
The incentives used to be insane, right?
Yeah, it was like, hey, we're giving you $30,000 towards design and closing costs. Like those are real numbers. Like I used to negotiate $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 off a deal. And they said, listen, we're going to give you this deal, but you have to use our lender and our title company. And the title company is fine. I mean, they're all kind of regulated. They're all kind of cost the same. It's really more service than it is like shopping your insurance, your title insurance.
That's a good way to put it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But like for you, so now those incentives have come like way down. Like if you get $4 or $5 grand, you did well. And so now it's like a real thing for you, right? Like, so how are you competing that? Are you seeing that like your fees and rates are actually better than on-site reps, or are they kind of the same? I mean, honestly, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good point to mention is that because of how competitive it is, it's allowed more opportunities for non-preferred lenders, will say, to get opportunity to work with clients on new construction. For the longest time, they were giving out $8,000-$10,000, and that usually came with a higher interest rate. It just wasn't something I could really compete with. So, even if I could give you the same interest rate, instead of giving you 10 grand, I might be able to give you $4,000 or $5,000. So it's still just better. But yeah, usually we're within a margin, and our rates and costs are a little bit lower than theirs are, but the incentive is so high. So now that the incentives are starting to come down, we're definitely usually more competitive. I will say that, Average Mortgage got access to a lot of the same loans, and really we all, depending on the day of the week, you call me on a Monday, rates are good, so I give you a low rate. Call someone else on Tuesday, rates went up, so they give you a worse rate. I mean, it can happen that fast. Not that we have better or worse rates than everybody else, but we are extremely competitive. And especially with those in-house lenders, a lot of times we do beat them because they're like, oh, this client's getting $10,000 from the builder, I'll give them a higher rate, or I'll charge them an extra $1,000 fee up front, and they're not even gonna know the difference because they're just getting this huge 10 grand and, like you said, 20 grand in design and stuff that clients would kind of overlook that. But no, we've done some new construction. Like I said, we had the custom one that, like, they were like, use anybody. Like, they were like, we're not giving any incentives, period. So
we don't care.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Get it closed. That's all we care. Yeah.
Right.
So I agree. So from my perspective, it was always like this, it's not the dirty secret, because I just was like, here you go. This is what, understand what you're getting. Right. So for my clients are like, hey, we're getting these $15,000. And so I would say, listen, compare apples to apples. So if Greg or whomever you're going with outside lender is giving you a 3% rate, and then the on-site lender is giving you 3.25, which you're getting 15 grand. Okay, well, how long of a payoff is that?
Right.
What's your return on that 15 grand? Is it a break even after 5 years? Maybe it's cool to take the 15, right? Is it going to be 20 years or something like that? You just got to figure it out what the break even is, and figure out what's best for you on your cash flow. But now it's like to me, I would rather, like, me personally, I would rather lose a $3,000 to $5,000 credit and use somebody that, like, I knew was going to get the deal done and not screw around, versus somebody who's just in it to, hang around with the builder. That's just me personally.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, those builders, lenders, they deal with so many people, and they have that kind of, like, they're not a referral-based business. They're not a relationship-based business. They don't give the same service. I've had so many people that have worked pre-approved, and all of a sudden they go into construction. They feel bad. I'm like, no, it's part of the business. Like, I wish you the best or whatever. They come back after, they're like, oh, the experience was horrible. And I mean,
it's disaster.
It just, I'm not trying to, say negative things about other lenders and such, but I have heard that quite a bit, actually. So.
Yep. Agreed. But just like there's bad realtors, there's bad lenders, right? And there's amazing ones on both sides. So.
Right.
All right. So Stephen, this is a great question. So he's planning to retire in 4 years. Does it make sense to use my 403B to pay for a home and live off Social Security without having a mortgage payment? What do you think about that?
Wow. Does it make sense to use my 403B to pay for a home and live off Social Security without having a mortgage payment? Yeah. I mean, Stephen, that is a really great plan. I would say, depending on who you have your 403B with, if you have it with a financial advisor, they're the one that's going to give you the best financial advice on, hey, what can I gain for you in the market on your 403B, whether you're in a aggressive or a conservative kind of, growth strategy with your investment. And, what is the interest rate going to look like on a mortgage? They can crunch all those numbers for you really, really well and tell you. But I mean, if that was kind of the example that I used earlier, was if you're someone that's about to retire and you don't want to live with a mortgage, take your money that you have to pay cash. You don't have a mortgage now. You can live comfortably. You have the peace of mind of not having a mortgage payment. You live off your Social Security. I mean, that's a great life. So if that works for you financially, then yeah, more power to you, man. Idea, Stephen. For sure.
Yeah, I would definitely talk to your financial advisor. Make sure that you're good on that before you cash out that. Like you said, making sure to figure out your investment strategy. I think, again, it's no one size fits all, but definitely chat with your financial advisor before you cash out. Tom asks, do you lose realtor representation if you sign up for Dreamfinder's VIP list for their new neighborhood on Fouquet and Reams? Yeah, I drive by that sign every day. Not the interest list, but if you go and visit them, then you could potentially lose representation and kind of have to go in alone. So definitely take a look at that. That neighborhood, they're starting to pull down trees, and I think they're probably looking at next year by the time they actually start selling more aggressively. But feel free to reach out to me. And then on the VIP list, a lot of times it'll say, like, it'll check like a check mark. Do you have a realtor? Are you working with somebody, just so that they know? And then we can get tied in together. It doesn't cost you any more. I mean, the cool thing with these big builders is, like, they pay us out of their marketing budget. So like, it's not like you get a better deal working without a realtor at this point. So why not? Here's a good question. So would you recommend a foreign buyer to arrange financing in their home country, the UK in my case, or would financing options in the US still be an option? So Greg, I know you've done a couple of these lately on the investment side for international. I know there's like, TD Bank does a lot of our Canadian loans. Royal Bank used to do a lot from England, but what are you seeing in regards to international loans?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of both, I would say, Ken. For a lot of buyers that are in North America specifically, I've seen a lot of the home country banks, like say Canada specifically, that have given out really, really great incentives and much better just overall products than what we can do. But there is a ton of opportunity for people in Europe and Latin America where we're giving out interest rates that are much better than what they're going to have in options and terms that they're going to have over in their home country. So it really just depends on a mix. But I mean, I've had a few of these foreign national programs that are pretty easy to do, that as long as you have your 30 to 35% down payment, you have a U.S. institution, U.S. bank set up. We're not really looking at your credit history. You're not looking at even income. You just need to have a job that can be verified in your home country. I mean, it's very minimal documentation, because obviously it's tough to verify. I mean, we've got someone last week was like, "Hey, I got a Chinese bank statement. Does anyone know Mandarin or like a translator?" Like when you have things like that, it's pretty crazy. So the minimal of the less documentation that you need to require to verify just makes the process smoother. So,
yep. Paul asks, do I give housewarming presents to my clients after a closing on a house that you buy with them? Yes, we do. We actually give a custom closing present. And then we actually have somebody on our team that's like over gifting, like they're like our thank you economy gifter. So like they're not their full-time job, but they're tasked to find and do some on the spot gifting as things go. So that's one of the things that we've kind of implemented over the years. I had a couple other questions here came through that I know I missed. Any other ones you guys want to jump in here? I think we're probably going to wrap up in the next 5 or 10 minutes, but want to make sure that we're getting all of your questions answered on this beautiful Saturday. It's actually a little overcast here in Orlando, which I'm a fan of. I think we're going to go hit the parks a little bit later. Nice. Here we go. So Don Juan, you asked this earlier, and this is actually one of the questions I want to get back to. Lake Nona or Horizon West? So here's the deal. At Lake Nona, Horizon West, I think it's really lifestyle. It comes down to both of them are very similar in regards to pricing at this point. I think you do get a little bit more house for your money in Horizon West. It's also super close to Disney. So when you're looking at a map, you got to decide like what's your daily life going to look like. Do you need to do you want to be close to Disney, closer to like the lakes and like the Windermere area and all that kind of stuff? Then Horizon West is where you want to be. You want something newer, good schools, all that kind of stuff. Horizon West is where you want to be. Lake Nona, you're right next to the airport and you're a little bit farther from Disney. You're probably equidistant to downtown. So really it's just like lifestyle choices, right? So like Lake Nona, I think it's going to be more of a urban upcoming, like, what's the best way to put it? Like kind of like a new urbanism area. They're going to have like less chains, more private label kind of stuff, really cool commercial, really cool residential. So like that's a lifestyle. And so if that's something that you're attracted to, then Lake Nona is going to be where you want to live. So a lot of cool stuff coming to Lake Nona. I'm a huge fan. I live in Horizon West, but that's just because proximity to Disney and how things worked out with our family. What are my thoughts? Here we go.
I was going to say, you're getting some questions on Mineola. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, that's Mineola.
We got to address Mineola. So what are my thoughts on Mineola? She put it in bold too, or PC. Sorry, they put it in bold. So Mineola, I think. I think, yeah. So my bad. So okay, Mineola, even up to like Leesburg, Howie in the Hills, all the way up to Mount Dora, Eustis, Tavares. Like you've got all of these really great cities. And again, it's just proximity. You're going to spend a lot less on houses in Mineola than you will Winter Garden or Windermere for sure. But then again, if you're working from home, then you want a pool home and a little bit more size, then Mineola it up. Claremont, I think all of those good areas kind of as you get up into Lake County, there's some miraculous deals still to be had. You can still get something in the 200s up in those areas, still a nice house in the low 300s that you just cannot get in some of the more popular areas. And so again, if you're willing to make that drive, then those are great opportunities. I actually have somebody on my team. They specialize up in that like Mount Dora, Lake County area, like all the way down to Mineola, Claremont. So if you want her information, just drop me an email. Ken at positgroup.com. I'll put you guys in contact with one another, and she can get you like really detailed insight into life in Mineola and beyond. So nice. Is that good?
Love it.
All right. All right. Jay keeps asking me this, like, is that the secret? I can't tell you the secret. It's just, it's not my information to give just yet. As soon as it is, the powers that be, I will be like, I'll do a video on it. That's for darn sure. Like, you better believe it. All right. Rapunzel's workshop. This is a good one for you, Greg, and you are muted again. So make sure you work on that and have your YouTube muted as well. So there's no feedback. So Rapunzel's workshop. This is a good question. I think you've got it turned back on YouTube. I can hear the echo. It says, I have high student loan balance. I'm on a 10-year debt forgiveness as a teacher. What do you think the best loan product is for my situation?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, this was a great question. And Rapunzel's workshop, I saw that there. I wanted to address the FHA change that we talked about a little bit earlier off camera. So just on Thursday, FHA announced that they are changing the requirements for what they calculate in your debt to income ratio from 1% of your outstanding loan balance to 0.5%. So that is massive, guys. I mean, for mortgage brokers that haven't heard this yet, you're going to be hearing anyone that you know that's in mortgages, they're going to get this information soon. And they're going to be screaming it crazy because it can be the difference in you qualifying for a $250,000, $300,000 house and a $300,000, $350,000 house. Like, it's huge. So for you,
wait, don't gloss over that. What was the difference? Could it be like some real life examples there?
Real life examples. If you're qualified, if you're pre-approved with a high student loan balance and you're pre-approved for $250,000, you could potentially increase with just this change in a guideline, how they look at your student loans, from a $250,000 qualification to a $300,000, $50,000 easily.
That's amazing.
Maybe more, especially if someone like Rapunzel's workshop here is saying that they have high student loan balance, like they have low debt across the board wherever, but they have, a master's or doctorate degree with a, 6-figure student loan balance or, 50, 60, 70,000. Instead of hitting, let's say it's 100,000, instead of hitting you for $1,000 a month on your debt to income ratio, now we're only hitting you for $500 a month. That frees up $500 a month. That can free up, $50,000 in purchasing power. It's huge.
That's a lot of money.
Huge. Yeah.
That's
so I would recommend looking at FHA conventional Rapunzel for that with high student loan balance.
Yep. That's wild. PC said, sorry for the caps. No, it's no big deal. If you need to make sure that it comes through as all these comments, that's a good place. That's a good way to do it. So I appreciate it. Happy Father's Day to you, Jim Lloyd. I appreciate it, man. Father's Day. I've got three little ones. I'm going to go spend some time with them. Jay. Yes. So getting around to some Disney news as we kind of wrap up. So yeah, fireworks, July 1st. I'm going to go camp out on July 3rd. For those of you that don't know, July 4th is obviously Disney's Magic Kingdom. They've got this massive firework display, but they do the same one on July 3rd as I think maybe a test run. That's kind of my guess. And so I'll be there on July 3rd. We're probably going to camp out around the Polynesian, set up my camera, get some photos. Yeah, I think I'm going to get pretty... Yeah, it's going to be insane. So we can hear Disney fireworks from our house pretty loud. It's like, 10 minutes a night. It's like boom, boom, right? But we haven't for 18 months. And so I think it's going to be a pretty emotional kind of deal, man. The first time we hear them come back and see them out of our backyard.
No, it's going to be cool. That's awesome.
For sure. All right, there's a few others, man. So what's the townhome construction like? Will I be able to hear the neighbors? Are they good compared to a home? I think, Joseph, man, especially in these popular areas where home prices, like single family home prices, have gone through the roof, I think that they're an amazing opportunity for most people because you can get in a little bit, less money. You do have an HOA fee to deal with too. So there's that trade-off. Talking to somebody like Greg or somebody like on the on-site rep would be figuring out, okay, yes, they're $75,000 less than a new construction home, but I've got an HOA fee here that might offset my cost a little bit. But in terms of the construction, they build them very well now. They've got these fire barriers in between. They're block construction a lot of times anyways on the main level. And so they're much, much better than what they used to be in the early 2000s or 90s and before. So I think, definitely don't think that the noise is going to or should deter you. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, they're just, even some of the apartment complexes I've seen, like they're building them so well now. Like, yeah, you're good.
Yep. So Aaron asks, what are my thoughts around prices, Lake Nona prices, or any prices, I guess, really hitting a plateau towards the end of the year? I don't think so. I mean, here's the deal. Like if we had a ton more inventory, then yeah, then prices would plateau. We don't have a ton more inventory. And so there is like Laureate Park 2 that's going to come on board. There's Summerdale, which is already on board, but that's actually Kissimmee. Even though they're like, you can see one from the other. But until we get more inventory, prices won't plateau, man. So,
hey, I saw John.
You muted yourself again, bud. Nope. All right, we lost you. Well, you keep working on that, and I'll see you've got one more here.
You got me now?
Yep. Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead.
I don't know what's going on. It's doing it automatically, and I click it, and it does it.
That's okay.
Anyways,
That's okay.
I was saying John Delancey had a question that he asked up there about that delayed financing option. I don't know on that, John. He was asking if you can do it for VA. I know 100% you can do it for conventional. That's a good question. John, I will look into that. If you want to find me on Instagram after this and direct message me, or Facebook, you can look me up. My name's Greg Matt. Find me, and then I can definitely get you that information.
For sure. And with that, I think we wrap it up for today, man. Listen, I appreciate you jumping on and digging into some of this mortgage stuff. It's a crazy market out there. I think that more than ever, people need like proper people in their corner, right? And so I think that's awesome for you to jump on here. So if people want to get a hold of you to buy, refinance, how do they do that?
They do that through my cell phone number is 407-619-2488, or go ahead and direct message me and follow me on Instagram at Greg Matthews Mortgages.
For sure.
Thanks so much for having me on, Ken. You're the man.
Dude, for sure. I appreciate you. This is really good stuff. So make sure you guys follow me over on Instagram as well. I'm putting out stuff every single day about life in Orlando here. Disney news, all that kind of stuff. We've got a whole team now creating content and just kind of trying to keep you guys updated about life in Orlando. And I'm just excited about where we're headed. And listen, we're up to 140 people at one time watching us live, and I'm sure a bunch of people will watch us afterwards. So thanks so much for taking the time, digging into our channel. It means the world that you would allow us to give you some insight into a potential move, buying or selling, or just life here in Orlando. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Happy Father's Day to you guys out there, and we'll see you soon.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. See you.